We've been up to what we believe is a place called Marsh Farm.
It's
at
Farm,
Sandringham. Yeah. We've been looking at it this week, the last couple of days, and a lot of security fences are going up.
If you thought being forced out of Royal Lodge was the end of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's housing troubles, it really was not. The former Duke of York now appears to be walking straight into a fresh set of problems at the very place he is expected to call home next. According to recent reports, the property sits on a floodplain, with documented warnings about what could happen if nearby pumping systems fail. At the same time, pest control vans, electricians, builders and security teams have all been spotted at the site, and Andrew has not even moved in yet. So today, let us take a closer look at what is actually happening at Marsh Farm, why it's already raising concerns, and what this move tells us about where Andrew now stands. For more than 20 years, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor lived at Royal Lodge in Windsor. The property has 30 rooms, sits within the Windsor estate, and has long been associated with senior members of the royal family.
News on the front pages this morning that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor is due to be evicted from Royal Lodge as early as next month.
Despite stepping back from royal duties in 2019, Andrew remained in the house. Reports over the years suggested he lived there on extremely favourable terms, with minimal personal financial responsibility for a property of that scale. For a long time, there was an assumption that something would eventually be worked out. Either the arrangement would quietly continue, or a behind-the-scenes solution would appear. That assumption proved to be wrong. Andrew is expected to vacate Royal Lodge before the end of January. There is no indication of another extension. This time, the move appears unavoidable. That marks a major shift in his circumstances. The property Andrew is said to be moving to is Marsh Farm, located in Norfolk on the Sandringham estate. Unlike Royal Lodge, Sandringham is privately owned by King Charles, rather than being part of the Crown estate. Marsh Farm is not a palace, nor even a traditional country house. It is described as a working farm property with several older buildings, some of which have reportedly been unused for years. The area is rural, flat, and closely connected to surrounding wetlands. Locals know it as practical countryside, not polished royal living. That setting becomes especially important when you look at the first major concern tied to the property.
Former Prince Andrew, we need to say now, has been kicked out of his salubrious Royal Lodge home, the 30-room mansion that he was living in with his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. However, he's going to end up in Sandringham. He has been exiled to Norfolk by the King after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. However,
according to reporting from The Sun, Marsh Farm sits on a floodplain. Residents in the surrounding area are reportedly advised to register for flood alerts in case local defences fail. A risk assessment conducted last year on a neighbouring property highlighted potential problems connected to the Wolferton pumping station. The report stated that failure of the pumping station could occur due to long-term mechanical breakdown or disruption to the power supply. In such cases, emergency flood procedures would be triggered, including the use of temporary pumping equipment. The exact likelihood of flooding remains unclear, and there is no suggestion that flooding is imminent. But the risk exists, and it is serious enough to warrant formal warnings and contingency plans. That is a stark contrast to life at Royal Lodge. Royal Lodge sits on elevated, carefully maintained land, with layers of security and infrastructure long designed to protect high-profile occupants. Marsh Farm is different. It is functional land that requires active management to remain safe and livable.
Marsh Farm, it's a ramshackle place. It's run down. Is he going to be happy there, Arthur?
Well, I mean, people describe the Sandringham estate as not very nice, but I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just tree-lined. It's absolutely where that farm is.
The idea that Andrew could potentially be dealing with flood alerts, emergency pumping equipment, or water management plans would have seemed unthinkable a decade ago. Now, it is simply part of the reality surrounding his next home. Despite these challenges, work at Marsh Farm appears to be moving at speed. In recent days, Sky VIP engineers were reportedly seen installing a high-end entertainment system at the property. This suggests preparation for long-term occupancy rather than a temporary stay. Tradespeople have also been observed fitting security lighting, erecting a 6-foot wooden fence, and using heavy equipment on site. Reports describe an excavator parked on the property and electricians working to ensure the buildings meet modern living standards. There are also claims that internal upgrades are underway in structures described as ramshackle farm buildings, some of which had reportedly been empty for many years. This level of activity suggests the property required significant work before it could be occupied. Security appears to be a central focus of the renovations. According to reports, CCTV systems are being installed alongside fencing. This suggests concerns about privacy, access, and possibly unwanted attention. While Marsh Farm is located within the Sandringham estate, it is not as isolated as some royal residences. It sits within the village of Wilferton, meaning there are nearby residents and regular activity. Security measures at Royal Lodge were long established and discreet. At Marsh Farm, they are being added rapidly and very visibly.
It's not. It's over by the other side of the road. You know, it's not in the actual standard, but it's part of it. And that's to restore that house that time, they're going to have to have a massive amount of work done on it. And I don't think it's going to happen in April because I've been talking to someone up there and he says.
One of the more eyebrow-raising developments came earlier this week when a command pest control van was photographed entering Marsh Farm. The company operates across the east of England and holds a royal warrant. It specialises in humane rodent control, dealing with rats, mice, squirrels and wasp nests. No official explanation has been given for the visit. However, the company's own guidance notes that January is a particularly difficult month for rodent activity. Cold temperatures drive rats and mice indoors, where they seek warmth in roof spaces and walls. This becomes more relevant when you consider another reported detail. Sandringham Estate reportedly has a no cats policy for tenants. While this might seem like a minor rule, it has practical consequences. Without cats, rodents are more likely to become an issue, particularly in rural properties. The pest control visit may have been preventative. It may also suggest that issues were already detected during renovation work. Either way, it reinforces the idea that Marsh Farm is not a pristine, untouched residence awaiting a ceremonial arrival. It is a working rural property being actively prepared. Another major development involves Sarah Ferguson. A source told the publication that while she has stood by him for many years, she is now ready to move on independently. The source stated that both Andrew and Sarah must leave Royal Lodge by January 25th. However, their paths diverge after that. Sarah is reportedly not moving into Princess Beatrice's Cotswolds home. Instead, Princess Eugenie's home in Portugal is said to be a possible temporary base while she considers her options. For decades, Andrew and Sarah maintained an unusually close post-divorce arrangement. This physical separation marks a significant change. For royal watchers, this separation is notable not just practically, but symbolically. Sarah's presence at Royal Lodge helped maintain a sense of continuity and normality. Without her, Andrew's move to Marsh Farm appears more isolated. It also suggests that this transition is not simply logistical. It reflects a broader reshaping of Andrew's personal and domestic life. Adding to the sense of instability, The Times reported on January 18th that Andrew will not move directly into Marsh Farm.
There's a lot of timings at play here because when is he going to be out? He's got until October to stay there. King wants him out by Easter, but he might actually be out by his birthday, and that's 19th of February. There's a lot of movement in this area. Marsh Farm is where he's going to be on the Sandringham estate.
Instead, he is expected to live in an interim property while renovations are completed. Details about this temporary accommodation remain scarce. There has been no confirmation about its location, size, or how long he will stay there. This suggests that despite visible progress, Marsh Farm may not yet be ready for full-time occupancy. For someone accustomed to long-term residence in one place, this period of moving between homes represents a significant adjustment. The timing of everything feels compressed. Royal Lodge must be vacated. Marsh Farm is undergoing rapid upgrades. Pest control is active. Security is being installed. An interim home is needed. All of this is happening within weeks, not months. That sense of urgency likely explains the level of activity seen at Marsh Farm. It also raises questions about whether this move is truly settled, or simply the best available option under pressure. Although Marsh Farm is widely described as a downgrade from Royal Lodge, it is not without expense. Security systems, fencing, renovations, entertainment installations, and maintenance all carry costs. This challenges the idea that Andrew is simply being pushed into a modest existence. The reality appears more complex. It may be smaller and less prestigious, but it is still being adapted to meet his needs. From the outside, the narrative is clear. A disgraced former Duke is leaving a grand residence and moving into a rural property with flood risks and rodents. Behind the scenes, however, considerable effort is being made to make that property secure and comfortable. Both things can be true at the same time. There are still unanswered questions. Will Marsh Farm become a permanent residence, or another interim solution? How long will renovations take? Will flood mitigation measures prove sufficient? Will Andrew remain largely out of sight, or continue to draw attention? For now, the situation remains fluid. So as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor prepares to leave Royal Lodge, his next chapter already comes with flood warnings, pest control visits, heavy renovations, and an interim stay somewhere else entirely. Do you think Marsh Farm will truly become his long-term home? Or is this just another temporary stop in a long period of uncertainty? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you follow royal news closely, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. So as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor prepares to leave Royal Lodge, his next chapter already comes with flood warnings, pest control visits, heavy renovations, and an interim stay somewhere else entirely. Do you think Marsh Farm will truly become his long-term home? Or is this just another temporary stop in a long period of uncertainty? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you follow royal news closely, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching.